Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Mid-Level Media channel, your hub for everything physical media and entertainment. I am Ken. Today, guys, we are going to be talking about 10 must-own Kino Lorber 4K and Blu-ray titles. So I actually had a little trouble coming up with this list because I kept picking titles that were now out of print from Kino Lorber because I wanted to recommend some stuff that you guys could get that is still in print, that you could still get on the Kino Lorber website, you can still get on Amazon. I've got all the prices on Amazon currently in front of me. Now, some of these may be cheaper on the Kino Lorber website, and I am anticipating that there will be a Kino Lorber sale probably mid to late March, if not maybe possibly early April, but they usually do a sale at least March or April, sometime in that time frame. They will do a sale. Now, with the Kino Lorber sale, you're not going to guarantee to have every single Kino Lorber title on sale. There will be a selection of titles on sale, but I'm pretty sure that some of these that I mentioned here today will be on that sale. But if not, a lot of these are pretty good prices currently on Amazon, and I will link those down below if you guys are interested in those. But yeah, these are, in my opinion, just essential Kino Lorber Blu-rays and 4Ks that you need to own. But before we get into it, guys, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. We talk about, physical media on this channel. We talk about Blu-rays, we talk about 4Ks, we talk about owning the movies that you love, all that stuff there behind me every single day. If you like that kind of stuff, that kind of content, definitely consider hitting that subscribe button. I did one of these for Scream Factory. I did one of these for Arrow Video. I'm sure I'll do other boutique labels as we go, but let's get into it, guys. Let me start with my number one recommendation for Kino Lorber, and that is Tropic Thunder on 4K. So this is, people say comedies, I don't need comedies on 4K. I don't need comedies on 4K. It's fine. I don't need to laugh in 4K. All right. This is an example of a comedy that you do need on 4K. This is essentially a war film that just happens to be an extremely hilarious comedy from 2008. But I love Tropic Thunder. I think it ages beautifully. There's some aspects of it, in particular Robert Downey Jr., that some people would say doesn't age very well. I think it ages great because of what it means and the commentary that it's providing, just on our just socially and also in Hollywood. As well, the commentary that it's providing there as far as the hypocritical nature of Hollywood and what they've done throughout history is absolutely hilarious, and it holds up even better today than it did back in 2008 when it came out. So people looking at the blackface thing, right? That's a very superficial way to look at this film. There's so much beneath the surface of Tropic Thunder, what Ben Stiller and Robert Downey Jr. and the cast and crew is trying to say with this film, that I think is just even more important today to the landscape of film, and just how we take our actors and our films just so seriously. This just really takes the piss out of all that, and I just love it so much. I just think it gets better and better. It's so freaking hilarious. Robert Downey Jr. was nominated for an Oscar for this movie. I don't think a lot of people remember that, but he was nominated for an Oscar for a comedy film. For portraying a black character, or a white guy portray a white dude portraying I'm a dude dressed as a dude playing another dude, playing that thing. He freaking got nominated for an Oscar. But I love Tropic Thunder. I think it's so freaking hilarious. Still so funny today. The opening with all the mock trailers is still so freaking funny. So yeah, if there's one Kino Lorber 4K, I really recommend this one. It looks so good on 4K as well. The 4K is absolutely outstanding with that jungle setting, all the explosions with the HDR. It just looks magnificent in 4K, so I cannot recommend this enough. I love the slipcover. Unfortunately, you're not going to be able to get the slipcover now, but you will get this poster right there on the 4K, which is nice as well. Getting into my next pick, guys, we've got a John Woo film from 1993. We've got Hard Target, starring the great Jean-Claude Van Damme, who I'm just now really getting into and exploring the filmography of Jean-Claude Van Damme, and I'm really having a great time. I just watched Kickboxer on 4K for the first time. I watched this a few years ago for the first time on 4K, or I think back in, it was either 2022 or it was 2023 that I watched this on 4K. But I just love this one. Universal Soldier I watched recently. Sudden Death I watched recently. Still got to see Bloodsport. That's a big one that I got to check out. But Hard Target is great. It's got a great villain with Lance Hendrickson as the villain. But this is an awesome one. It's just a great, like, 1993, early 90s action film. You know, early John Woo, at least if you're talking about, like, his 90s action run with this and Broken Arrow and then Face Off. But yeah, I think that Broken Arrow is his best film of those three. But this is probably the second best. And I love Face Off, I do, but it's not exactly like high art. Like, it's not the best film. Not that this is or Broken Arrow is, but I just think that these have a little bit more to offer as far as like character and story and writing than Face Off does. But Hard Target's incredible. It's just a great action film. It looks phenomenal in 4K. Jean-Claude doing the kicks, all the action stuff in 4K. Explosions. It kind of has like a, not a jungle setting, but a little bit of a forest, like greenery type setting that just looks great in 4K. All the action sequences just look great in 4K. So I highly recommend Hard Target. And I actually think that this edition has some new special features and interviews. Like, it's possible those were older interviews, but they were definitely new to me, and they look like they were newer as far as when they've been filmed. And I know it has a new audio commentary on here as well. So yeah, Hard Target. Cannot recommend this one enough. When it came out, it did have some audio issues, but they have since fixed those audio issues. Now, I didn't give you the price of Tropic Thunder. Right now, currently, this is $27.06, which is kind of on the higher end for a Kino Lorber 4K. But Hard Target right now is $27.06 as well, which again is on the higher is on the higher end of a Kino Lorber 4K. You can probably get both of these cheaper if they're in the next Kino Lorber sale. Probably for $17.99 they'll both be. So maybe wait for that sale to potentially get these for a little bit cheaper. But Hard Target, hell of a film. You definitely need to have that in your collection. Next up, we've got a Blu-ray release. We're going to talk about Secret Admirer on Blu-ray. Now, this is one, I think this has, I want to say this has a 4K scan. I remember the Blu-ray looking like really good. It might just be a 2K scan, though, on this one. But this is just a fun, like, little John Hughes-like romantic comedy, teen romantic comedy from 1985. It's got a great cast. You got C. Thomas Howell in this film. You got Lori Loughlin in this film. You got Kelly Preston, Fred Ward, Dee Wallace is in this movie as well. The cast is insane. It's awesome. Honestly, though, I really enjoyed this movie a lot. I would put this above like some of the other John Hughes movies of this same time period and era. Like, I would put this above Pretty in Pink. I would put this above 16 Candles. And I know that one of those movies is not directed by John Hughes. I forget which one isn't. But I wouldn't put it above Weird Science or Breakfast Club or Plane, Trains, and Automobiles. But I think of that, like, teen, like, romance, like, comedy genre that he operated so well in, like, I think this movie does a lot of that stuff better. And it's a far, like, raunchier comedy than those. It kind of feels a little bit like Revenge of the Nerds as far as just how, like, raunchy it gets. Like, Kelly Preston's, like, fully topless in a scene in this movie, and it just really goes for it, like, in some scenes and sequences. But it's a Secret Admirer movie. Lori Loughlin's got a crush on him, and he's writing letters to Kelly Preston using her to do it because she's a better writer than him. It's just that kind of thing where it's like, you know, you think the love of your life is in front of you, but they're really right next to you. But it's a good story. It's a good movie. And like I said, it's not just a cheesy, like, comedy. Like, it really goes into raunchy comedy territory, which they did so, like, well in the 80s, and then they kind of lost sight of it. It didn't come back until American Pie. But Secret Admirer, it's a really good one, and it has a really great cast. I don't hear a lot of people talk about this one. I do think it's kind of better than some of John Hughes movies around that same time. So definitely recommend that. That's going for $14.86 right now on Amazon. Next up, guys, look, this was in my top 3 4Ks of 2024. I'm going to keep singing the praises of Crybaby on 4K. You gotta get this. Like, I love Crybaby. It's a John Waters film. It's my favorite John Waters film. But this edition right here, and if you don't know Crybaby, it's got Johnny Depp in it as one of his early performances. And it's basically kind of a Grease knockoff, like, in a way. Like, it's set back in the 50s, and you got Johnny Depp. He's kind of playing essentially like the greaser, the kid from the wrong side of the tracks. He falls in love with the girl in this film, Allison, and both of their families, you know, don't approve of the love and all that kind of stuff. But it's also a musical as well. But I've been watching Crybaby since I was a kid. Like, I just love this freaking movie so much. I love the cast, I love all the characters. But this edition is so freaking good. It's got, I think it's got like the older documentary that came out back in the 2005. I think it was the 2005 Blu-ray. It's also got a new documentary, an interview with John Waters. It's got several interviews. I think it's got something like 9 interviews here. It's got a new audio commentary as well with John Waters, but it's got like interviews with Ricky Lake. It's got interviews with Tracy Lords. It's got interviews with Iggy Pop. It's got interviews with the actress that is now in prison. They freaking interviewed her from prison. It's got so many like incredible interviews, and they're lengthy. Like, some of them are over 20 minutes long. Like, Ricky Lake's is not 20 minutes, but I think hers is like 5. But there's interviews with everybody that was in this movie except for Johnny Depp, which kind of sucks. It would have been cool if he came back to do it, but I mean, you can't expect somebody the caliber of Johnny Depp to come back and do a special feature. That would cost an insane amount of money. But there's deleted scenes. Like I said, older documentaries, newer documentaries. There's 2 cuts of this film. I think the director's cut, though, is on Blu-ray, and I think the theatrical cut is on 4K. I don't think both cuts are on 4K, but it's a great addition. The 4K looks absolutely magnificent. It's going right now, guys, on Amazon for $19.99. So this is one that you could wait for a sale, get it for a little bit cheaper, but I recommend you get it now. It is, in my opinion, it was a top 3 release of 2024. A lot of that was personal to me because I just love this movie, but it is such a great release. I highly recommend Crybaby on 4K. It's one I still don't think got talked about enough in 2024. Next up, guys, we got Hardcore with George C. Scott. This is a film directed by Paul Schrader. In my opinion, even though like American Gigolo is moving up on my list, like I really am growing to love that film. I think Hardcore is the best. I think it's the best thing Paul Schrader's ever done. And that includes Taxi Driver. Like, I freaking love Taxi Driver. This might be better than Taxi Driver. This movie, like where George C. Scott has to go with his character, like it's so deep. And his performance is so freaking good in this movie, and just the levels of emotion that he's able to bring out and what he has to do. Like, his character literally has to go to the depths of hell emotionally, and he does it. He handles it so well with this performance. He is so freaking magnificent in this film. And it's essentially about a Christian father who loses his daughter and has to track her down. She ends up in the porn industry, so he has to go through all kinds of nefarious people to track her down and find her. And it gets very dark, but it's just a really like dark and seedy, like almost like noir type thriller. It's from 1979, but it feels a little bit like it's in the 80s as well. It's that perfect bridge between the 80s and the 70s, but the aesthetic's great, the performances are great, the story is awesome and unlike anything I've ever seen. And this is just one of the best movies like I've ever seen. Like I think out of everything I watched last year, like this and A Simple Plan were like my 2 favorite first time watches. Like, I love both of them so much, but Hardcore like was just like it was just something extra. Like, it was that little something extra. And this is a Blu-ray with the 4K scan. And this looked incredible. Like, they might do this on 4K. And to be honest, like, I might buy it if they do it on 4K because I just love this movie so much. But I honestly don't think you need it. Like, if you watch this Blu-ray with the 4K scan, you're going to be satisfied with the picture quality. It is incredible picture quality on this one. So yeah, Hardcore, just a magnificent film. There's a couple of audio commentaries here. There's nothing really in terms of like new special features, which is kind of disappointing. I wish they would have added some new features, but it's an incredible release by Kino Lorber. I think it's one of the best releases they've done, and it's currently $16.91. But Hardcore, cannot recommend that movie enough. It's incredible. Just watched this one recently. I just bought this one recently, actually. I bought a bunch of Westerns from Kino Lorber. I need to check them all out. But I was in the mood to after watching Winchester 73, I'm like, I want to watch more James Stewart Westerns. So I popped in Night Passage. This was not as good as Winchester 73, but it was still a good one. And like anything with James Stewart, like the most mediocre like James Stewart movie is better than most movies. Like, it's so I had a really good time. There's just something about Westerns. I get so like locked into them, almost no matter what, but it's got James Stewart. It's got Audie Murphy. Now, James Stewart made 6 films with Anthony Mann in the 50s, and it started with Winchester 73. This was the film, and it came out in 1957, that led to their falling out, because Anthony Mann was supposed to direct this film. He did not like the casting of Audie Murphy. He didn't think he should be cast, so he bounced out of the film. And then he talked smack about the movie and said it wasn't very good, and it was just an excuse for James Stewart to play the accordion, because he plays the accordion in the film. Apparently, he played it in real life, and he wanted to play it in the movie because he knew how to do it, and he wanted to showcase that skill and that talent. So you got Anthony Mann talking a bunch of crap about this film, saying it wasn't very good, and it led to like a big like blow up between him and James Stewart. So this was the movie that kind of led to them not doing anything with each other anymore, which is a shame, because they did, you know, some great work together by all accounts. Which I have a couple of Anthony Mann, James Stewart movies. I want to watch them all. I want to collect them all. I got one that's already arrived, The Far Country, which I'll be watching soon, but I got a couple other ones that I'm eyeing to get pretty soon as well. But Night Passage was a good one. It's basically James Stewart's. You got some railroad workers who are upset that they're not getting their payment, their payroll, because there's a gang that keeps stealing their payroll from a train. So they hire James Stewart, who used to work for the railroad, to come back in and basically smuggle the money on the train to get it to the workers so they don't like all quit and go back east. That's essentially the story, but then there's other stuff involving him and his brother. Again, another brother in this one, just like Winchester 73. His brother's played by Audie Murphy, who's also in the gang. So it's the whole like brothers on opposing side thing, and it's them trying to figure out like how to navigate that as they go. But the end of this movie ends in a really like stunning shootout sequence that was really cool, because the way that they like shot it, it just had like a great sense of like where everybody was at like in the shootout, and it really reminded me of like a video game, almost like Red Dead Redemption. I was a big fan of Red Dead Redemption back in the day, and there was like scenes, like shootout sequences in this movie that reminded me like of a video game. So it was cool that they did that kind of stuff back in the 50s, and it's like, oh well, they did this back in the 50s, and the video games absolutely inspired by the movies to make it look like that within the video game. So I just thought that was really cool. But Night Passage it's a good one. It's not like top tier westerns. It's not one of the best westerns of the 50s. It's not The Searchers, but it's definitely a passable western for sure, and a very watchable one, and a very fun one, with a good story and good characters and good performance by James Stewart. So I would recommend this one for sure. There's not really much here in terms of special features. There's an audio commentary with Toby Roan, and that's pretty much it. But you can get this for $14.69. Probably get it for a little bit cheaper. In fact, I think I got this in the sale for like $8.99 or something in the most recent sale, but this one's probably not going to be on sale next time, because I just got it in the past one. So you can probably get this for $14.69 right now if you're interested in getting it. All right, we got 4 more to go, guys. We've got Hatari with John Wayne, and I'm growing into such a big like John Wayne fan. Like he is so much more than just like a cliched like, you know, Western actor, like one note Western actor, badass, because that's how people think of the Duke, right? This badass who just has like one note to him and his performances. That's how I always thought of him, like growing up. My grandfather was a big John Wayne fan, and whenever I would see like scenes of John Wayne, it was like, oh, what's up, Pilgrim, blah blah. He acted like he could only do like one thing. But when you watch more John Wayne stuff, you start to appreciate the range he actually has as an actor, and I think that's on full display in a film like Hatari, because he's the lead of this film, and this is like 2.5 hours long. So this is essentially like it's like a safari film. They're basically like hunting wild animals in Africa, or trying to capture them for the zoo. Like that's what they do. And there's just, it's pretty much like there's a story to it, but there's not like this big like plot, this thing that they have to accomplish. It's just kind of a day-to-day like thing with them. Like they're out in Africa, and they're basically like taking these jobs, and they're trying to catch these animals, and every day it's like a new challenge and a new thing that they have to do. And within that, you have all these like interconnecting like romances and stories that are taking place, and just characters that are but it's really just kind of like a day-to-day type thing. They're just moving from one day to the next, and it's just a nice story. It's a very watchable film. It's a very easygoing film. It's a very relaxing film. to watch as well. And there are some like scenes that are a little exciting when they're riding in the Jeeps out there with the rhinos and stuff. And yeah, it's a good one for sure. It's directed by Howard Hawks. And yeah, I enjoyed Hatari. I thought the 4K was great as well. This is a recent 4K from Kino Lorber. It came out this past December. But yeah, John Wayne is just freaking phenomenal in this movie. And I just watched him in The Searchers as well. And I need to check out way more John Wayne. Like, this is a guy that I want to get into, just like James Stewart. Like, these two are probably my two favorite classic actors at this point. And they're both in my favorite, probably classic film, The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance, and my favorite Western. But Hatari on 4K, it's a good 4K. The 4K quality here is absolutely outstanding. Dolby Vision HDR, and it's $29.84 right now currently. But again, watch this upcoming sale, because I can almost guarantee this one might be in that sale. We also got Kujo on 4K, guys. I recommend Kujo. Kujo's a good one. It's a very tense, thrilling horror film. You got Dee Wallace like stuck in a car, with a dog attacking her for like 90 minutes, it feels like. But they do some like really inventive, like creative stuff with it. I mean, it's based on a Stephen King novel and a story. And yeah, it does get a little frightening in parts for sure. And you're like, how the hell is she going to get out of this? But the 4K is absolutely outstanding. And I think for this particular edition from Kino Lorber, they actually ported over all the features from all the other releases. Like Eureka had a really nice release of this overseas. I think they have all those features on here. There's also a round table with Dee Wallace and I think the director as well. You got the making of Kujo, a documentary on here. So this is really a couple of audio commentaries, one from 2007, one from 2013. So this is a really and a new audio commentary as well. This is a really stacked release. For Kujo, and the 4K looked great. Like when the dog's snarling and the slobber's going everywhere, you can see all the details of that, guys. I think I reviewed this back in the day, so you can go check out my review if you're interested. All right, we got a couple more. To Live and Die in LA. I've also got a review for this on the channel. This is a film directed by William Friedkin. I was blown away by this film. This is just that 80s noir, seedy action thriller with a great villain with Willem Dafoe. The lead in this film, which I cannot remember his name, William L. Peterson. He's great in this movie. Everybody's phenomenal in the film, but this is just such a tense thriller. There's a car chase in this movie that is mind-blowing. It's one of the best car chases I've ever seen. But yeah, just such a rich film as far as the environment, and just the atmosphere of it. You got an excellent score here by Wang Chung. I mean, the music in this is just incredible. But yeah, To Live and Die in LA, this is probably next to The Exorcist, William Friedkin's best movie. I love Cruisin'. I just reviewed Cruisin' on the channel. But if I were to rank Friedkin films, it'd probably be The Exorcist, To Live and Die in LA, and then it would be Cruisin'. Right after that. So To Live and Die in LA, though, guys, it is a fantastic film. This thing is stacked with bonus features as well. Now, most of these bonus features is from the Shout Factor release that came out, I think back in 2017. But there is an audio commentary here with the director, William Friedkin. And I think that Friedkin had something to do with the restoration here as well. 4K scan of the original 35mm camera negative. And I think he did, because this one took a long time to come out, and it's because William Friedkin is kind of a pain in the ass with doing his 4Ks. But this is a magnificent 4K. So if he's a pain in the ass or not, it led to a great 4K right here of To Live and Die in LA. So this was definitely worth the wait, and one of the best, again, first time watches that I've seen. Now, my last recommendation, guys, is going to a film that is directed by George P. Cosmatos, the same guy who directed Tombstone, and that is Leviathan on 4K from Kino Lorber. I really like this one. This one has a RoboCop in it. Peter Weller is in this film. It's got Ernie Hudson. It's got Daniel Stern. The cast in this movie is absolutely incredible. It's got Amanda Pais in this movie as well, who looks stunning in the film. And yeah, this is just Richard Crenna is in this movie as well from First Blood. And yeah, this is an incredible underwater creature feature. Just it's like Alien underwater is what it essentially is. But I like this movie a lot. And I like The Abyss when I watch it, but that's much more of just a deep, like, you know, almost pretentious science fiction film, almost like a Blade Runner or something. Leviathan's just, it knows what it is. It's a creature feature. It's an infection movie underwater. It's tense. It's thrilling. It is a roller coaster of a ride. And I like this movie a lot. I did like it a lot. I think it's well worth the 4K upgrade as well. Thought it looked great on 4K. Some of the creature effects, the practical effects just look magnificent. I have yet to see Deep Star 6 with Sean S. Cunningham, because I know that came out the same year, because all these movies came out the same year. The Abyss came out in 1989, Leviathan 1989, and Deep Star 6 1989. But I need to check that one out at some point. But this one's a lot of fun. It's very good. There is one moment towards the end that kind of made me a little angry. And if you've seen it, you probably know what I'm talking about. But other than that, just a really great movie. Really great 4K as well. I thought it looked great, and it's got a great cast. And I think this one had a Screen Factory back in the day, and it ported over all the Screen Factory features, including a making of documentary, which I think is about 45 minutes long. And then it's got a couple of interviews with Ernie Hudson. Ernie Hudson actually did an interview here. And then you got a new audio commentary that's new to this Kino Lorber release. Now, taking it out of the slipcover, guys, this one actually had alternate artwork as well, so I got to point that out. There you have it, guys. That's my recommendations for today, my Kino Lorber recommendations. I'm happy with these recommendations. I think I gave y'all some good stuff to check out. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Also, let me know some Kino Lorbers that are must own for you. Let me know that in the comment section below. I'm looking for stuff to buy in the upcoming sales as well. But thank you all so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Turn on those bell notifications for all future videos, and follow me on all my social media accounts. Those links are down below in the description, and we'll see you next time.